ओम श्रुति स्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. So from 69. Indriyanam hi, 67. Indriyanam hi charatam.
Just a minute, Jackmarji. I'll just opening. 67. Yeah.
Indriyanam hi charatam.
Indriyanam hi charatam.
यन्मनोनुविधीयते
तन्मनोनुविधीयते
तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम्
तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम्
वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि
वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि
तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो
तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो
निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता
तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता
या निशा सर्वभूतानां
या निशा सर्वभूतानां
तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी
तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी
यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि
यस्यां जागृति भूतानि
सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः
सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः
आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम्
अचल प्रतिष्ठम
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी.
Today we will be doing 71. Vihaya kaman
विहाय कामान्
yas sarvan
यः सर्वान्
pumanscharati
पुमांश्चरति
nisprihaha
निःस्पृहः
nirmamo
निर्ममो
nirahankaraha
निरहङ्कारः
sashantim
स शान्तिम्
adhigacchati
अधिगच्छति.
vihaya kaman yas sarvan
विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान्
pumanscharati nisprihaha
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति.
स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति.
Yeah. Can remain unmuted. Him. There's no noise there.
There might be some traffic noise, but I think
Sometimes traffic noise. Sometimes the traffic noise, if it is not too much, it may be okay also.
Okay.
Give some reality to this, to the class. More reality. Okay. So, until 68. So, Krishna talked about various descriptions of a sthita prajna, one who has this knowledge. And because this is knowledge, we are not talking about a belief. The person is completely believes that everything is me, everything is Brahma. It's not a belief, it's knowledge. And so big shift in focus for many of us, for all of us. And for that, till 68, Sri Krishna talked about many ways of describing the person. We saw that from, of course, 55. And then here, 69 and 70 onwards, he is now describing, gave a couple of examples, night and day example, as to how a person who is in the process of knowing will not be able to really appreciate the wisdom of a wise person. That he said. And in order to, perhaps Swamiji says, perhaps Arjuna here felt that, okay, that means what? I cannot know. I cannot appreciate a wise person. Then he said, okay, the example of the ocean was given. Samudram apaf pravishanti yadvat. And we saw that how an ocean is unshaken, unmoving, despite all rivers and waters entering and exiting the ocean. This person is unmoved. So it also says that the person is very much alive. Unmoving doesn't mean just sitting still. Unmoving means, so despite all transactions going on, despite the sense organs working like the way it used to work, and despite objects being attractive and unattractive, despite situations being pleasant and unpleasant, despite that, the person is unshaken. Nothing can shake the person. This is what we learn when we are in the midst of Swamis and so forth. And recently, Swami Pratyek Bodhananda ji gained samadhi, and you could describe him in the same way also. And despite all problems, Swami used to have so many physical ailments, and diabetes is there, and legs are swelling up, and so we used to do a lot of seva, and massaging his body. We used to do all that. We used to do so much seva for him, and he would tell us stories. He would tell us so many things, and so much love was there, and never complaining. This is just an amazing thing that we see. We are able to be blessed by such kind of people. So, samudram apaha pravishanti yadvat. So, likened to an ocean, the stability and the sthiratvam of an ocean. So now, now Krishna is summing up. We have only a couple of more shlokas here in this chapter. Chapter is a long chapter, 72 verses are there, comparatively long, one of the longest chapters in Bhagavad Gita. So, all along, Krishna was talking about this binding desire and how to deal with it. So the attitude of Karma Yoga was indicated, and the Prasada Buddhi, Titikshasva, Tans Titikshasva, Shitoshnadi, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. Okay. It was there in which shloka? Right in the beginning, number 14, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. So this heat and cold and these pairs of opposites are always going to be there here, Arjuna. You endure them. Like that he said. And so from that, the idea of Karma Yoga comes, and he continues. And the attitude of Karma Yoga is so important for that sadhaka, for that person who is in this journey. And Arjuna is very much in this journey. And but what does that Karma Yoga do? It neutralizes the bite of the Ragadveshas. Neutralizes the things that would otherwise make me complain, otherwise make me panic. And so finally it culminates in the knowledge of Atma. Atma being Brahma. Atma being everything. And given that knowledge, whether the person is working, whether a person is not working, whether the person is in a high position, Krishna is going to talk about Janaka Maharaja, Sita Devi's father, or whether it is Shankaracharya, or whether it is anybody else. Who knows Sanskrit, who doesn't know Sanskrit, it doesn't matter. Freedom is complete. That is the knowledge that gives freedom. And so there is no difference in that freedom. And so here, Vihaya Kaman. Vihaya. So Kaman means all the sense objects. In other words, all objects of this world are desires. Binding desires. Whenever we see desire here, we must say binding desire. We saw that earlier. Because not all desires cause problems for us. And desires don't cause problems for us. But it's only certain desires which are so important, which somehow we think are extremely important to satisfy. And so, Vihaya, the person gives up those binding desires. The binding nature of the desires are given up. So things are done. Whatever needs to be done is done. But the rest is there's no anxiety about the outcomes. Vihaya Kaman. Again, he comes back to that. Vihaya means having given up all binding desires, namely converting any binding desires to non-binding desires. which happened through Karma Yoga and then finally through knowledge, through the knowledge of Atma. Okay. Pumans charati nispriha. We'll look at that. And then nirmamo nirahankaraha. Very interesting. Mama. In Sanskrit, mama means mine. Mine. The mine. So this is mine, that is mine. So from a young age, we see that. We see how the child begins to say, oh, that's mine. Oh, that is mine. Don't touch that. No, it's mine. They keep it close to the heart so that, it's somehow the child seems to know. How does it know? If you keep it like this, it means mine. Somehow it knows, I think. These things they pick up. And then the parents have to say, no, you should share it, honey. You should share with all your friends. All this advice the parents will give. No, you buy another one for them. Child is smart, Child has ideas. It gives advice to the parents. So this idea of mine comes from a young age. And we of course, we also have, everybody has the idea of mine. So nirmama is not mine. That idea is indicated by Krishna. And for practical reasons, we need the idea of mine, right? So we have to, the ownership is there of various objects. And my family, my house, my vehicle, my this, my that, so many things are mine. And when you attend a conference or when you attend a workshop, a half-a-day workshop, Samskrita Bharati, you decided, I want to expose myself to Sanskritam. And all these people are talking in Sanskritam. It's so cool. And suddenly you saw a notice. And it says, 1 day program. Sunday, pandemic time, you don't have much to do. And so you say, okay, few hours, 4 or 5 hours, that's all. So let me check it out. So okay, let's say it's held in a room. This Zoom conference will not work for this example. So you attended close by, and there are about 40 people, and then you're all sitting, and they give you all these pamphlets, maybe some books, maybe a notepad, maybe a small pen to write on stuff. These days they do all that. because we don't I don't think we go there with with our notebooks and pens and all that. They say, okay, we'll help you with all that. You don't have to. You just have to get your physical body into this room. That's all we want. Rest we will take care of. Coffee, all this pani, vagara, everything will take care. You don't worry. You don't have to get all that. So that's the way to attract people. Food also will give. Lunchtime will give you food. Don't worry. You don't have to. So like that. So you go there. They give you. And then, after 1 hour, there's a break. And then you are coming back. And somebody says, whose is this? They point to some books and say, whose is this? And you say, it is mine. You say, it is mine. Okay, look at that. Hey, there are so many things that belong to you. This thing hardly 1 hour, okay? And it actually doesn't belong to you. But still you say, this is mine. That is my desk. This is my desk. These books are mine. That pen is mine. Everything becomes mine. Can you believe this? That ownership, how it comes. Or somebody took that pad. I looked around, took the pad. No, that is mine. So, okay, again, practical reasons you have to say it is mine. But look at that, how ownership starts. So innocuously it starts. And so here, Krishna is saying, Nirmamaha. Can you imagine that? There is nothing that belongs to the person. Why there is nothing that belongs to the person? Because everything is me. Whereas show me the second thing, that if there is a second thing, then we can talk about whether that belongs to me or not. But if there is no second thing, then how can there be mamakara? Mamakaraha means this mindness, possessiveness about something, to call it mind, does not, cannot be there. Therefore, this person is called Nirmamaha. The Nirmamaha, that word there, is referring to the person itself, the one who does not have this sense of mindness. And you can see that. That's why this sannyasis, when you see them, they don't, this is amazing. They are ready to give anything they have. Child is there, give up something. Somebody comes up, they just give something. And the thought that, okay, I could use it, anything we can use. Every object in the world is useful, and we can always keep stuff at home, keep stuff one after the other. So no, this I have also observed. I'm sure you also have observed that sense of possession is not there. So this dhanam comes naturally for such people. It's a natural expression. And so when a person sees everything as oneself, everything as non-separate from oneself, okay, so the whole ball game changes. Correct? The whole ball game, the vision is different. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami. Right? We saw that. So when that happens, the sense of I-ness, I, me, mine, this idea just completely goes away for that person. And it is there only just for the sake of transaction. Just to engage with people, just to be practical, there are certain things which you have to say it belongs to me. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. But possession is one thing. Ownership is entirely different. I possess so many objects. I own so many objects. Think about that. See if there is a difference between the two. Possession, ownership. Possession means this is there. It is there with me right now. I am responsible for this right now. Ownership means what? I own it, which is actually incorrect. Nobody can really own anything because every object is independent, and nowhere it is written. Nowhere in Vedas is written this belongs to you, that belongs to you. So this belongingness is just transactional, purely an agreement. I paid for it, therefore this belongs to me. This is owned by me. You can say that, but beyond that, the ownership has not much reality. We need to be careful. We need to ponder over that. Therefore, but then as a human being, we consider ourselves to be as good as this body and mind, and therefore I am limited. Whichever way I look at it, I am limited. So I compare, and so I become smaller and smaller, and so I have this mamakara, this sense of I, mine, etc. It's going to be there, no doubt about that. Now, so that ego, that ahankara. So Krishna uses the word ahankara here. Nirahankara, next word. Ahankara. So the etymological meaning is aham. The word aham in Sanskrit means I. Ahankara. Aham karomi iti ahankara. Because the person says I do, that attitude is called ahankara. That is the definition of ahankara. That I-ness is there, and it comes out by the statement I do, I did, I did not do. So these are very, very categorical statements. Categorical, I hope you understand what I mean by categorical. Means I did it. When I say, who painted this picture? I did it. Means these hands did it. This mind did it. That is a statement. That means I am taking full ownership to that. Who broke this glass? I did not do it. 2 hands. I don't know why they use 2 hands. I did not do it. Why not say I did not do it? So 2 hands, because I think, I don't know. So much psychology is involved in all these expressions. So I did not do it. So ahankara, correct? Ahankara. And so this Ahankara, so they say egotistic, egoist. So they have all these words in English also to represent this levels of Ahankara. So comparison, constant comparison with others results from this Ahankara, and that has its own set of problems. So I'm reminded of this thing I said some time ago. I don't mind repeating it in case there are some new people here. I'll change the story a little bit, change the characters and see what happens. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and Jeff Bezos. So for those of you who don't know who Jeff Bezos is, he's the founder and CEO of Amazon. And Amazon is doing great guns. It's just making money. Like anything, even Jeff doesn't know how, he's floating in money. So these three people end up in heaven. So they end up in heaven. Don't ask me why they end up in heaven, but they end up in heaven. And God is there, and God says, my God, God himself says, my God, three of you coming on the same day. It says, man, I must have done some punya. So he says, come on, please, how are you guys doing? And then he asks Joe Biden. No, he asked Donald Trump first. Don, you've done wonders and to America, to world, and what do you believe in? What do you believe in? And Donald Trump says, I believe in the freedom of people everywhere in the world. Definitely American people, freedom. They must be free. They must be free to decide whether they want to wear the mask or not. That much freedom they must have. Okay, that's my belief. I believe that in that kind of freedom. And so this wearing a mask, forcing people, I don't believe in all that. God looks at Trump and says, my God, Donald, this is amazing stuff you're talking about. Come sit next to me. So Donald sits next to him, next to God. Then looks at Joe Biden, who is the contenders now in the elections. He's going to be one of the contenders, right, from another party. So Joe, nice to see you. And what do you believe in? Joe Biden says, this idea of freedom, we should not stretch too much. It has its limits, and we must give good advice to people. And that I believe that the role of a president must be to guide people when that freedom must be limited and when it should not be limited. Even presidents must wear a mask. Like that, he says. Wow. God is just amazed. My goodness, I like this idea. Yeah, freedom means you can't stretch too much. And so I like your idea too. Your belief is excellent. Come sit next to me. And then this Jeff Bezos is waiting there. Jeff, so nice to see you. You've done wonders as well. I'm so proud of you. And so what do you believe in? And Jeff Bezos says, I believe that you're sitting on my chair. Okay. So look at that. So the ego can be so much that I can compare myself to God also. That to that extent the ego can be. And so there is no end to this ahankara. And so here this person is called Nirahankara. Amazing. Amazing stuff. That is why they say you watch your ahankara and build the capacity to neutralize that ahankara, that ego periodically. You give, you be compassionate, you let go of things. Don't argue over small things. And chalega, let go. So that is how our ahankara can be put under check. And so that person is called a nirahankaraha, and he is a nisprihaha. All these are nouns that refer to that wise person. Okay. Nisprihaha. Nisprihaha, we have already seen this word spriha. Where did we see it? Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigata sprihaha. That's what comes to mind right now. And so dukkeshu, in the presence of sorrowful situations, potentially sorrowful situations, anudvignamanaha, the person is unmoving, unaffected. And sukheshu vigata sprihaha. When pleasant experiences happen, the person does not have a longing, does not ache for a repeat performance. That is called spriha. Spriha is a longing. Longing means there's another word for it. Pining for something. Just the mind is constantly saying, I wish this happened. I wish this. I wish I had that. That kind of stuff. So that is called spriha. So here, Krishna uses the word nisprihaha. So ni, that word, the prefix ni in front of a word in Sanskrit, generally, it can mean many things. Here, it means nirgataha. Nirgataha means gone. The one from whom something is gone. What is gone? Spriha is gone. That is the literal meaning of the word nisprihaha. The one from whom longing is gone. Nirmamaha, the one from whom mamakara is gone. Nirahankaraha, one from whom ahankara is gone. That is the meaning of these words. And so that person is a nisprihaha. Why? Because, and that is kaman sarvan. Sarvan kaman vihaya. Because no desires can affect that person. Therefore, nisprihaha. Simple desires, must have desires, all these things don't bind the person. That is the meaning. So let's look at this. Charati. Look at the word charati. Charati. Charati means moves about, active, goes about doing things. Okay. The question can arise, hey, this is so profound. What happens if a person gains knowledge? Arjuna asked this question very much. Sita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. So what does he speak? What does he do? How does he walk? How does he sit? This is how it is. So that means we have that doubt was there. What happens to such a person? So clearly here, Krishna says, charati. Charati. Charati means goes about doing things. There is no rule that say the person has to just do nothing, etc. No. The whole body, mind, sense complex is still active, just like it was before. And so, charati. Charati is active in this world. And in what way can that person be active? So this once the jnanam takes over, then the person as though does not have any will. As though there is a will, but it's an enlightened will, enlightened ego. Ego is there. But at that time, prarabdha takes over. Look at that. Because the power of the will reduces significantly. Then prarabdha takes over. Correct? Prarabdha means what? That which is making our bodies go through this journey. Who we are, what we are, where we are born, what kind of job we had, what kind of family we have, everything prarabdha karma. Correct? Because we did not decide all these things. Even though a few things you decided, I would like this kind of job, that kind of job, etc. But most of the things we did not decide. So for a jnani, prarabdha takes over completely. So one person decides, I'm going to just sit and not do anything. One person decides, I'm going to be in a cave. One person decides, I want to teach. and another person goes all over the world to teach. Okay, all these possibilities are there. And here we say it is the prarabdha and the vasana takes over. Even that person has no control over it. Just things happen. He or she allows things to happen, unfold as it should unfold. So beautiful it is. And so because that the sense of doership and enjoyership is not there. I, nirmama. I did this. I am this. I am teaching. I am doing this. I am doing that. I did that. This idea between the average person and the wise person, what is the difference between these statements? The difference is that doership and enjoyership are not there. They are there as though for the time being it is there, but really speaking, it is not there. The sense of doership. Just like that example I gave a couple of classes ago, when you had your nephews, young nephews and nieces, and maybe their children. Why should I say? There are some of us, many of us have grandchildren. So they are visiting home. They're all running around, and you played for 3 hours. You played. You were with them. So, what kind of doership do you have? In fact, you only say, I enjoyed my time with them. I played with them. I won this game. You lost this game. And this idea is not there. This won and lost will come only when the mamakara is there. Correct? Just you are there with them. You just gave everything. You did not even know the passage of time. Because that mamakara is not there. Ahankara is not there. And Spriha may be there. Spriha may be there. I wish they stay here for a few more days. What is this? Such a short vacation. 2 days? Just weekend? Yeah. I mean, my job, it doesn't allow me to come like this, So you enjoy the 2 days with them. So, like that mamakara and ahankara, not there for a wise person. And so here, Swamiji mentions, he says, hey, there is going to be some ahankara. Some Krishna talked to Arjuna. Krishna also had an ahankara, but he never allowed that ahankara to take him over. And because of that knowledge that is there, Shankara, what to talk about Shankara, who wrote so much? And so ahankara is very much there, but not like the way we think about it. That will that is needed to operate is very much there, but it's an enlightened doership. Like that, Swamiji puts a footnote there. Okay. So, having said that, let's look at this shloka. So, the verb here is charati. Charati is the verb in the first line. Okay. Charati, moves about. Who moves about? Puman. Look at that word. Sarvan, Puman, Charati. That Puman, there is a word called Puman. Puman in Sanskrit means person. Person. Here it's a male person, but person. Puman, Charati. Person moves about. What kind of person moves about? We saw that Nisprihaha, one who has no longing. Nirmamaha, Nirahankaraha, that kind of person. And how he is able to move about like that? Vihaya kaman yaha sarvan. Sarvan kaman. Kaman means all desires, binding desires. Sarvan kaman. That's the way to reorder the words. Sarvan kaman. Yaha sarvan kaman vihaya charati. Okay, so let's look at this. Having given up all binding desires, Sarvan kaman vihaya, having given up all binding desires, comma, the person, yaha puman, the person, yaha puman, who moves around, who does things. Charati, comma, devoid of longing. Nispraha, devoid of longing. Comma, without the sense of limited I. Nirahankara. Without the sense of limited I. Look at that. Ankara means limited I. I am so much, I am this, that idea. Without the sense of limited I within quotes, and mine, nirmamaha. Okay. Without the sense of limited I and mine, comma, gains shanti, gains tranquility. Full, complete tranquility. Shantim adhigachati. Adhigachati is the other word, second verb in this shloka. So Shantim adhigachati. Saha. Saha means that person. So Yaha Saha. Saha is complement of Yaha. That is there in the first line. So first line what? Vihaya Kaman Yaha Sarvan Puman Charati. That is a way to split that first line. And second line, Shantim Adhigachati. That is the way to split that. So, having given up all binding desires, comma, the person who moves around, moves about doing things, comma, or just moves about, means who is active, that is the meaning, comma, devoid of longing or devoid of longing, comma, without the sense of limited I and mine, without the sense of limited I and mine, comma, gains shanti, gains tranquility. Okay, good. So, so that is a sthita prajna. So the Arjuna's question should have been answered by now. Sthita prajna, one who has knowledge of Atma, of the reality of this world, namely Brahma, and that knowledge is not some kind of a bookish knowledge, but it's more than that. That person has done Nididhyasanam and is now crystal clear about that fact. It's a fact. That person is a sthita prajna. We saw all that before. And now Krishna concludes the chapter praising that person. Let's chant this. Who would like to do that? Sundari ji. Yeah. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Yesha Brahmi.
Yesha Brahmi.
Sthitif Partha.
Sthitif Partha.
Nainam Prapya.
Nainam Prapya.
Vimuhyati.
Vimuhyati.
Sthitvasyam.
Sthitvasyam.
Antakalepi.
Antakalepi.
Brahma Nirvanam.
Brahma Nirvanam.
Richati.
Grachati.
Rishi. Richati.
Richati.
Yesha Brahmi Sthitif Partha.
Yesha Brahmi Sthitif Partha.
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati.
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati.
Sthitva Syamantakalepi.
Sthitva Syam Antakalepi.
Brahma Nirvanam Richati.
Brahma Nirvanam Richati.
Can remain unmuted. Okay. So, praise of this person, praise of this person who seems to be so unique, so amazing to us, And so that person is praised here. Okay. So the word sthita prajnaha, the word brahmanishtaha, these are all identical. And that word is not used here. Literally does not exist here. And but that person's mind is kind of described here. So Yesha Brahmi Sthitihi. Sthitihi. Yesha Brahmi Sthitihi. This is the, hey Arjuna, hey Partha, fourth word is Partha, hey Partha, hey Arjuna. This is the meaning of the state of being in Brahma. This is the state of being in Brahma. Like that Krishna is saying. Means when this knowledge of Brahma and the knowledge of Atma and the knowledge of the equality of Brahma and Atma, all of which we are going to, Krishna is going to explain further, which Krishna has crystallized in this chapter, second chapter, and that is called Brahmi Sthitihi. Like that Krishna uses the word Brahmi. So knowledge of Brahma. Sthitihi. The word here is Sthitihi. So Swamiji spent some time on this word Sthitihi, state. When we say state, this is the state of being in Brahma. Somebody says that. That means what? What is our understanding of the word state? The first time I heard of state, it was when I studied this gas, solid, gas, liquid, and solid. These are the three states of matter. This is what I remember. In physics, I remember. I read that. Three states of matter. That's the first time the word state formally comes. And of course, there is all this kind of the Tamil Nadu, Kerala and all. They are also states only. But, but state. So look at the word state. Because we are used to that word state. What is that state? The state, if you say the state is liquid, water is in liquid state. That means what? Water is in that form right now. And that form I recognize as a liquid. As opposed to when I cool that water in the refrigerator, it becomes a solid called ice. And I give it a name, ice. The same material has become a solid. And the same material can become a gas also, which I do every day. Turn on the heater and then the liquid becomes gas. Okay, this happens all the time. So what is a state? A state is that which is gained and which can also be lost. Can we say that? By definition, a state is that which is gained, and the minute something is gained, it can be lost also. Maybe not right away, but anytime it can be lost. Under the right conditions, it can be lost. You say, no, the stone is solid. It always was solid. It is solid. Well, believe it or not, that stone was a liquid before it became a solid. It was a liquid. And it's hard for us to imagine how can a stone be a liquid, become a liquid. But yeah, possible. And all this concrete and this and that, we see solids. You just have to go to a chemical factory. And then all your ideas of solid, liquid, gas, everything just vaporizes. And because you say, what? This is how it is. And plastic and all that. Plastic is all liquid before it comes out as a solid. And before it was a liquid, it was a gas. They take methane and they take ethane and all these gases. And then they compress it so much. Compress it until it becomes a liquid. Compress it so much and then put it in water and then it becomes a solid. Can you believe this? From gas, it becomes a liquid and then it becomes a solid. And you say plastic is solid. And I say, no, plastic, its original form, it was a liquid. was polymerized. Okay. So this idea of state itself means it's temporary. Therefore, what is Krishna saying? Yesha Brahmi Sthitihi. And if I translate the word as state, then we are in trouble. Because then this fellow has to protect his state, no? Because now I got knowledge and now I have to protect this knowledge. And how do I protect this knowledge? Well, you do whatever it takes. Continue. You increase your prayers even more so that that knowledge doesn't go away. And so he has to protect the knowledge, he or she. No. So Swamiji says we translate this as state for lack of a better word. For lack of a better word. Maybe it is better to leave it as sthitihi. And it's a new incarnation of this person. Correct? That is why they give a, when they give sannyasa. See, those days, in Shankara's days, a person who is studying the Shastram and is serious about it automatically is given sannyasa. This may be hard for you to believe, but this is how it was in Shankara's time. In his commentaries, you can see that very clearly. He equates that person, the person who is seriously studying the Shastram, to a sannyasi. And of course, a wise person must be a sannyasi. In Shankara's mind, the wise person is a sannyasi. Even though Krishna gives the example of Janaka, King Janaka. King, but wise person. Person knows what is what, just playing a role. Playing the role because he is in that position, he has to discharge the duties of a Kshatriya. And he is doing it. And so that sannyasa ashrama is there. And so that ashrama is given so that knowledge is there with that person. And there can't be any situations outside that has the potential to take the person away. And the person can remain in that knowledge, can continue to, if the sthita prajnatvam is not there, then one can become a sthita prajna. We need that quality time. We all say quality time with the family, right? So here, quality time with the self, with Ishvara. And so that sthitihi, we just need to be careful here. And so Swamiji also mentions the word samadhi. Samadhi. And he says, we are not talking about samadhi here. Not talking about samadhi. So there, samadhi is a popular word. And so there is savikalpa samadhi, there is nirvikalpa samadhi. And so in Ashtanga Yoga, samadhi is talked about. Nirvikalpaka samadhi. Chitta vritti nirodha, right? That is one of the sutras of Patanjali. Chitta vritti nirodha. The absence of all thoughts in the mind is called samadhi. Nirvikalpa samadhi. And so there also, absence of thoughts is a state. And so then the minute a thought comes in the mind, then what? Then that nirvikalpa samadhi state is lost. So it is a state. Samadhi is a state. Therefore, the state can be lost also. Nothing wrong in losing the state. A person says, okay, now thoughts are there. I can be in nirvikalpa samadhi anytime. The person may not have any problem. But if you say nirvikalpa samadhi is permanent, then we have a problem. Because it cannot be permanent. Mind will always have thoughts. And thoughts can come. Nothing wrong. We should not paint thoughts as a villain. This is a dangerous thing. Many people do that. You have to free your mind from thoughts. There's no need to free your mind from thoughts because the mind is meant to allow us to think, just as the eyes are meant for us to see things. That's all. So just by the way, Swamiji mentions that word here, samadhi. And so the samadhi is a state. Here we are not, the sthiti is not samadhi. Okay. So So we have to cover a few more things here in this shloka. And so Yesha Brahmi Sthitihi Partha Na Enam Prapya Vimuhyati. Having gained that Sthita Prajnatvam, that steadfastness in knowledge, Na Vimuhyati. The person no longer experiences sorrow, no longer is deluded. No longer is deluded. Of course, no delusion is there because the reality of the world is understood. And which means nothing in the world can affect that person. Why? Because there is nothing in the world to affect that person. Look at the way the thinking goes. Look at the way the vision is. It's like that. Because for all of us, the reality, the duality is the reality. And it's too much. The duality is way too much. I cannot handle it. And so here it says, hey, Pumans Charati, the person also, the person's body will ache, the person will go through the same problems like everybody else. No magic is promised. Krishna doesn't promise any magic here. Okay. He doesn't even say you're going to win the war. That promise also he doesn't give. So you have to do what you have to do, that's all. And leave the rest to Ishvara. Okay, so we will continue this discussion. And we're already past time here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.